Hello, Paolo Synth. This one goes out to Sven V, who asks, Paolo, could you do a video on the CS-5, that's a Yamaha CS-5 little analog mono synth from the 70s, going through how to make patches and get different sounds. I have one, but I feel like I'm not getting the most out of it. And although it is simple in some ways, I'm confused about how the amplifier works and some of the functions. All right, here is the Yamaha CS-5, and it is a really cool portable mono synth from the 70s with one VCO, one VCF, and one VCA, and one envelope. Very simple, but it's got a multi-mode filter, high-pass filter, band-pass filter, and low-pass filter, so that gives it a lot of flexibility. The first thing I wanted to talk about that you mentioned is the VCA. One thing I wanted to mention that if people are not familiar with, this harks back to the times of the 70s modular. As you can see from basically the block diagrams, you have all these lines going from section to section. They tell you what's happening inside. And this one is called initial level, which is really in the modular world the gain of the amplifier. For example, on this synthesizer.com, this has also a gain on the top, and if you open this, it will open an amplifier, will make the oscillator sound, so you get constant leakage like this. Which is really not conducive if you're trying to control the synthesizer from the keyboard. It gets in the way. It's great if you want to have a low drone, but if you want to be able to use the envelope generator and the keyboard, you want to set this to 0 and use the envelope generator depth instead to set the volume. As you can see, there's a line that goes here to the depth here for the filter, the depth for the amplifier, and they all go to the envelope generator here. So to make the keyboard respond, all you need to do is to bring up the sustain level. And now you can control the CS-5 from the keyboard as customary. Right now, let's talk about the sections. Here you have the external section, which is on the back has an input for external source. So basically you can run another synth or drum machine or anything you want into the synth and edit the incoming sound with the filter. But right now you can also set it up to be the noise function. Right now I'm in a rush, so sorry. I don't have the time to put another input inside. So let's talk about the noise here. Is follow the line, blah, blah, blah. Follow the line, and it goes here to the noise. So this will bring in the noise. Right now we have also a sawtooth wave, and we can turn it off. And you simply get the noise. And as we know, the noise is useful to do atmospheric sounds like the sea. All you need to do is to tweak the envelope generator to make it start slow, so attack time and release time, and you have something like the sea. Or noise and so forth. That's the noise section. The VCO, and again follow the lines, it goes to this section here. You have a choice of sawtooth at different feet length. And also you have a square. Also at different length. And again, let's follow the lines from the square. It also goes to this wave shape converter, which is a fancy way of saying basically you can modulate the pulse width of the square with this knob here. All right, let's go back to the saw waveform. Another usual thing that all synthesizers usually have is a low frequency oscillator section here. And it's controlled by this knob here. This is the amount of the LFO modulation on the VCO. And you get the typical vibrato effect. With it's got three waveforms. This is the sine wave, this is the square wave, and then there's a very cool sample and hold. So this is the sine wave, you get the typical vibrato. Set a little bit faster so you can get some expression. If you set it to different waveform, you get a different type of modulation. This is up and down, basically saw modulation. And the coolest is the sample and hold. The typical computer effect. Let's go back to the standard sine. You can combine the two waveforms together. Although the sawtooth tends to be drowned a little bit when you set the square at maximum volume. Let's talk about the VCF real quick. Super cool multi-mode filter. Right now we have the low pass filter engaged, LPF. So this is what it sounds like. And this is the opposite, the high pass filter. Another cool setting is the band pass filter, where it cuts just a band, a portion of a band of the spectrum. It goes by bands. Resonance, again, let's go back to low pass. Resonance, also typical control. It makes a standard synthesizer sound as is known since the 60s and 70s. The LFO modulation on the filter does the classic wah-wah type of effect. Also, you can use the envelope generator to shape your sounds. For example, if you wanted to do the classic synth bass, you know, instead of doing the drone, you would have something like this. You would adjust the decay and sustain level. Let's do a synth bass. Let's turn on the mod. So right now we can go to the 64 to do the bass sound. All you need to do for a bass is change the sustain level so that it rises and go down, and the decay also. Add resonance and increase the depth of the envelope generator so you have the total rise and fall. And then to taste, you can adjust these parameters here. And you have the typical synth bass. Which brings us to another cool control, the Portamento. A lot of time, the Mini Moog of the 70s, for both bass and leads, they would use the Portamento control. And what it does, it glides through the notes. So if you want to have a bass, a synth bass that glides, just add some Portamento. The same thing with leads, exactly the same. So you will go up the chain here, and you have a lead with Portamento. You get that type of warm type sound of the 70s. Portamento off, LFO mod off. Let's talk about other things you can do with the waveforms. For example, if you wanted to go into more like a, a clarinet type of sound, you use the square wave rather than the sawtooth. So let's open the square wave and let's try to program some sort of clarinet. So you would have a little bit of attack. And this is sort of a clarinet type of sound. For wild synthesizer sound, yeah, you really want to use maybe like the bandpass filter here and engage the pulse with modulation. And go down in octaves. Add a little bit of extra noise for body. And you get those types of cool modern synthesizer sounds. You can add some Portamento also to go up and down. Also notable is that it's got an expression pedal input, so you can control I think the filter from the pedal, so you don't need to do it manually. You can do it with the pedal, so you can play the melody with your hands. Unfortunately, I have a hard stop, so I hope this helps you. And anybody who has this model or is interested in analog synths, any questions, let me know in the comments below. I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.